Arsenal fans, where are you? Kai Havertz haters, where are you? Looks like you might see Kai Havertz leave Arsenal by the end of the season because there is a team that is really interested in obviously signing this player. A 6-month shortlist has been made, and Kai Havertz and Jorginho have gone ahead to appear onto that list. Welcome to Rokani Media Football. Saturday it is. It's really sunny and everything is going on as planned at this channel, in my country, and it's match day. Arsenal versus Bournemouth and very many other games. The biggest game of the night, it's Liverpool versus Tottenham Hotspur. I don't know. I know to my own knowledge that it's very hard to find an Arsenal fan wishing Tottenham Hotspur great, and having drawn with Spurs last Sunday, they're obviously calling for a loss of Tottenham Hotspur. I know they want that loss badly to happen to Tottenham Hotspur, but Liverpool is obviously going to pay them a courtesy visit, and we don't know how things are going to end up that side of the London. No, it's the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, not so. So smash the like button, close to 400 likes 400 times, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. This is the Football News Show. Rokani David, all RD is my name. Don't forget to subscribe because we want to hit 18,000 subscribers before the end of this month. And there is another story. Harvey, you know him very well, formerly at Leicester City, playing for Newcastle. He's totally injured and he's out until 2024. Bad news at Newcastle. We are going to obviously come through and really try to really get our magnifying glasses and obviously let you know what we think about that injury. And lastly, Pep Guardiola has gone ahead and obviously had a go or a say at the player they signed from Leeds, that is Kalvin Phillips, at a price of £56 million, and he hasn't gone ahead to impress at the side of Man City. Now, let's go eyes, right? Are you ready to rumble? Hope you guys are really ready. Now, let's start it off with thanking God for the gift of life because He's the reason that we are living. Muslims, Allah is doing great for you, and I think you're enjoying the services that Allah is obviously offering to you for free because Lord doesn't charge anything. Now, let's start it off with a story coming in from Mundo Deportivo, coming in from Spain, revealing to us that Barcelona are said to be eyeing moves for Arsenal duo Kai Havertz and Jorginho next summer. Barcelona's financial fair play problems have had a direct impact on their transfer business in recent seasons. In order to manage their issues, the club has been forced to look at free agents and flops. That is it. Now, this is a very huge story coming in from a very good source coming in from Spain, Mundo Deportivo. Mundo Deportivo is a very huge outlet in Spain, and it has close to 3.1 million followers on Twitter. Them and Marca have always gone ahead to grace this stage of really giving us the best of news that we deserve as we the consumers of news from teams in Spain. Now, when you look at these two, this is Jorginho and Kai Havertz, I think there is a point that Barcelona is looking at, and Kai Havertz is a player at Arsenal that is really trying to fight his way out to become one of the best players at Arsenal, but things are not going to work out, and very many Arsenal fans are really bitter at Arteta for really giving him enough playing time. And to show you that Arteta is feeling the pressure, in the previous 2 Premier League games that Arsenal have gone ahead to play, Kai Havertz has come off the bench. Against Everton, he came off the bench. Against Tottenham Hotspur, he came off the bench, and he started in the Carabao Cup game that saw Arsenal beat Brentford by 1-0, and Kai Havertz played a full 90 minutes of that game. Now, even today when Arsenal is taking on Bournemouth, we are really in question on whether this man is obviously going to come in through and be started by the manager Mikel Arteta. So, it sounds really stupid, all weird, that Barcelona are interested in Kai Havertz, but most people are referring to Kai Havertz as a flop. But for my case, I'm not referring him as a flop. That is because he's not a free agent, as the statement is really saying that Barcelona is considering flops and free agents. Kai Havertz is one of those players that is going to hate to be really waited for to deliver at the world stage. from Bayern Leverkusen. Teams like Real Madrid were interested in him, but COVID really hit them. COVID hit them hard, and they couldn't sign those players. They had also gone ahead to agree with Donny van de Beek for 40 million euros, and they couldn't raise that money to sign that Dutch international from Ajax. So that's why Kai Havertz came to Chelsea, and he had a very good spell at Chelsea for me. But at Arsenal, he's experiencing a very huge back out from the fans of Arsenal, because he's not obviously performing to the levels. But Arteta came out and told Arsenal fans that please give this man time, as you did for Aaron Ramsdale, Ben White, Gabriel Magalhaes, Martin Odegaard. Trust me, this man is going to come good, because we all expected Kai Havertz to come in through and play as a replacement of Granit Xhaka, but things are not going on as planned in that Arsenal side. Now, what does it mean for Barcelona to go in for a player that Arsenal spend £75 million on? Can Arsenal sell a player after spending 1 year at the club? I think Mikel Arteta wouldn't allow that to happen, because it will be a very huge exposure to Mikel Arteta that he is not really good at making certain decisions, because this decision was really made by him, and he went ahead to pay a lot of money, because there were very many other midfielders that Arsenal would have gone ahead to get at a lower price instead of getting Kai Havertz. Trust me, Arsenal would have gone ahead to spend like £40 million on Gabriel Vega. Would have gone ahead to come in through and do a better job. Look at Szoboszlai. Szoboszlai is at Liverpool, and Liverpool paid 70 million euros. 70 million euros are like 60 million pounds or 62 million pounds, and Arsenal paid close to 75 million pounds for Kai Havertz, meaning that if Arsenal got Szoboszlai to play alongside Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard, it would have been a different reason, or a different midfield altogether. And Arsenal have been chasing Szoboszlai for the previous 2 summers, and they're not going to get him. His buyout clause was really triggered by Liverpool, and look at how Szoboszlai is hitting all cylinders and firing them up, So it shows you exactly that Arteta won't sell Kai Havertz. However much Barcelona want to buy Kai Havertz, because they know they can get him on a cheap, Arteta won't allow to sell Kai Havertz, not until he has gone ahead to play another season at Arsenal and obviously flopped totally. He's still really optimistic that Kai Havertz will fit into that team of Arsenal, but Arsenal fans are really running out of patience, because they believe this is a bullet that they failed to dodge, and it's inside their body and itching them, nearing their heart. It obviously cost them their life and season. That is it. So for Kai Havertz, that's the case. But I don't see Kai Havertz leaving Arsenal next summer, unless otherwise things go the wrong way. But I don't see him leaving Arsenal. We go to Jorginho. They also went ahead to add the following about Jorginho, and I think this is the most realistic target that Barcelona can really get. They said the former Chelsea duo have both joined the Gunners this year, with Jorginho arriving in January ahead of Kai Havertz's summer move. Arteta has yet to start Jorginho in a Premier League game this season, and the Italian was linked with an exit in the summer as his contract expires in 2024. Now, we all know that this season Jorginho has not gone ahead to kick a ball for Arsenal as a starter in the Premier League, because the first game that Arsenal played in the Premier League was against Nottingham Forest. Jorginho never started. It was Declan Rice who started in that midfield with Kai Havertz and Odegaard. The second game Arsenal played away at Crystal Palace. It was Declan Rice, Kai Havertz and Odegaard starting again. He came off the bench to play some minutes because Arsenal had a red card and they need to control the game and really safeguard their 1-0 lead over Crystal Palace, of which they did and won that game very well. Then the third game was against Fulham. Arsenal drew 2-2 with Fulham. Then they had to play Manchester United and they won against Manchester United. He never started. And the game against Everton, he never started. The the game against Spurs never started. Just came on at half time when Declan Rice really got an injury. And his first game is starting for Arsenal this season has been in the Carabao Cup, because even the Champions League never started. He just came on through and played some 26 minutes into that game. So it shows you that Jorginho is not really in good books with Mikel Arteta, though he might obviously not look like he's going to show it, because he's going to show it in the public eye because of his professionalism. But he's obviously one of those players that is not happy at Arsenal, as he wants to play these minutes. And when a team like Barcelona knocks on the door of Jorginho, that you are coming to act as a replacement for Sergio Busquets, because there is no way you can obviously rate or put all your Romeo in the same ilk with Jorginho. Jorginho is a different kind of player altogether, and I think he will suit that central midfield of Barcelona very well. If at all you're having Ilkay Gundogan, Jorginho, and Frenkie de Jong, that will act well for that side of Barcelona. And for me, if you ask me, out of these two, who is most likely to leave Arsenal and join Barcelona, obviously I'll go for only one player, that is Jorginho. But for Kai Havertz, I think Arteta really has a lot to prove to the board that we never really spent cash. Stupid would have gone ahead to bring in a more better player, but he has to prove to the board that this was the right signing we had to make, because he's being played in a position that he never played before. He has always played as a false number 9, right attacking midfielder, and playing behind the center forward. That is Jorginho for you, but sorry, that is Kai Havertz for you. But this time round, it's not really going his ways, and I don't know how. He's obviously going to cope up with the team of Arsenal, but we wait and see how Kai Havertz makes ends meet at Arsenal, as fans of Arsenal are obviously really rioting at Mikel Arteta and really attacking him left, right, and center as to why they went in for Kai Havertz. That is it. Now, let's leave Arsenal alone. Let's get to another London side, from North London to Central London, where Chelsea is. And let's talk something concerning Harvey Barnes. Harvey Barnes was a player they signed from Leicester City to Newcastle. He had a very brilliant start of the season. He scored some goals, and he obviously showed that he was a very good threat of the bench at the side of Newcastle. And Eddie Howe has gone ahead and obviously dropped some bad news concerning this guy, and he's out. Harvey Barnes has been ruled out until 2024. He's going to be out for around 3 months. No surgery required, which is good news, but his foot is now in a boot. It's an injury underneath his toe, says Eddie Howe. Now, if you're a team like Newcastle, with what they're experiencing as a side, you don't really want to lose out on players. They've gone ahead to play some good games, and they've gone ahead to really register their other big win in the midweek after beating Newcastle. He would like to capitalize onto that and not lose out on any player like Harvey Barnes. Where does Harvey Barnes play? Harvey Barnes plays as a left attacking midfielder at that side of Newcastle, and he brings a lot of energy. And when you lose Sam Maximin, you don't want to lose Harvey Barnes. Why? You have Anthony Gordon, who is a starter into the team, but you need another player who can come in through and really be rotated, because very many games are being played in this season. They are in the Champions League, they are playing the Carabao Cup, they're in the FA Cup and the Premier League, and they're really having a huge log of fixtures, obviously, to take on. Because if you're not having Harvey Barnes, that means you are not going to rest or really rotate your team very well, and it's going to call in for you to put in shifts that are really uncalled for in different games, like shifting Alexander Isak, your best center forward, onto the left, and maybe Callum Wilson leads the line. That's also another narrative that you have to go on and obviously play with. Now, they are playing Burnley today at home. They are playing PSG at home. That is on Wednesday next week. West Ham on the 8th, and they're going to go to the national break. When they return, they play Crystal Palace, right, at home. They host Dortmund. They play Wolverhampton Wanderers. They play away at Manchester United in the Carabao Cup 4th round, and they host Arsenal on the 4th of November. They play play away at Dortmund on the 7th of November, and the 11th of November, before we go to international break, they're obviously going to play away at Bournemouth. So these games are coming in thick and fast. You've seen it out that every week they're going to be playing 2 games. So when you lose a Harvey Barnes, it obviously affects your rotation to see to it that a player known as Anthony Gordon is obviously going to be overworked. Yet you don't want to obviously see him being played every game, because if you start him on the weekend in the Premier League, you can obviously not start him during the midweek, and getting Harvey Barnes to start. So it's a very huge blow for Newcastle, because Harvey Barnes brought in fire at the side of Newcastle. And if at all I'm not mistaken, let me bring you his stats this season at Newcastle. Before he really saw his foot really injured, he had played 6 games, put in 1 goal and 1 assist. What a kind of player. 7 games, 1 goal and 1 assist. Those are 2 goal involvements in 7 games. Newcastle might play 60 games this season. If he keeps that level of performance and output, he can obviously raise close to 10-15 goals. And if at all Newcastle has another person coming in from the wide areas of the midfield to give them that output, it's going to be very, very huge and instrumental into their season. So let's leave Harvey Barnes at that, and let's talk a little bit about Pep Guardiola talking about Kalvin Phillips, a player he signed from Leeds for £55 million. Guardiola says he has a chance to start versus Wolves like the other ones. He's part of the group, an incredible contribution. When he doesn't play, I don't have any complaints. Sometimes we look for something specific if another team has the skills. Now, this is time for Kalvin Phillips to obviously prove himself that he's obviously going to really hit all cylinders and obviously keep himself in the best shape possible, to see to it that he can obviously give Rodri a go for that position that Rodri is going to have to epitomize as the number 1 choice. Rodri saw himself sent off in the game of Nottingham over last weekend, where he obviously went ahead to try to rattle the neck of Gibson. Is it Gibbs White? Right. Now, he had to serve 3 games off, and the first game he really served was that of Newcastle in the Carabao Cup that saw them being beaten by 1-0. Man City were knocked out of the Carabao Cup. Then, on the weekend, he's going to miss the game they're playing against Wolverhampton Wanderers, and next weekend, he's going to miss the game against Arsenal. So, the manager is trying to coach Kalvin Phillips to obviously come in through and put in the shift. And today, he's anticipated to make it into the starting 11 of Man City alongside Matthew Nunes, who is going to play against his former team, that is Wolverhampton Wanderers. But for Kalvin Phillips, it's a matter of him raising to the level and believing that I need to keep my head right, my mentality right, to compete for this position. Because Rodri, to me, he's one of the best CDMs in the world, and his performances are really very, 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 very good. And that impressiveness he puts up on the field of play is really great. This season is going to have to score very many goals, and he looks like he's going to score close to 4, 5, or 6, 10 goals this season, because he has 3, and last season he scored 4. Now, when you look at Casemiro, he so far has 4. We are seeing CDMs adding more to what the team is obviously putting their baskets as far as goals are really concerned. So, thank you very much for watching. To tell me your thoughts about Kai Havertz and Jorginho quitting Arsenal. Who do you think is a more realistic quit from the London-based side or the North London-based side, that is Arsenal? What do you make about Harvey Barnes? Do you think Newcastle is going to miss Harvey Barnes? Yes or no? And what do you think about Kalvin Phillips? Do you think he's obviously going to prove Pep Guardiola right or wrong, that I'm the best man to play in that midfield if at all Rodri is here or not? Rokani David remains my name. I sign out. See you later. May the living to God bless you abundantly, and we thank God for the gift of life. Now, it's obviously huge for us to obviously come in through and obviously be talking to you. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. The Muslims, Barakallahu fikum. I'm out for now. See you later, my beautiful mates and subscribers.